Welcome to our program on Kardec Radio.
Hello, everybody. Fayute, my Irish friends. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning for those who are in Australia down there. So good to have you here. It's a pleasure to share this moment with my friends, and especially these friends in Lithuania, France, and UK. So we are united here and on the same screen. So this is amazing. And today's talk, it's about divine justice. And through this talk, we will discuss or we will share our opinions, our understanding about it, and I hope you like it. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. It's really a great pleasure to be here again. It's so nice unite our thoughts and talk about something very good. And I am so happy that people me and said, "Oh, Elsa, it's so nice to listen Thursday evenings, talk in the UK, or the UK, not in the UK only, it's Lithuania, Ireland, and France." So for us, it's a gift, it's a pleasure here to be here. So good evening to the ones that will be tomorrow, good morning, good afternoon, so everywhere. So together we go further. So thank you.
Labas, labadiena, labas rytas. Šiandien mūsų tema bus dieviškasis teisingumas. Kalbėsime apie dvasingumą ir nušviesime gyvenimiškus klausimus. Tikiuosi, kad jums bus naudinga. Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us tonight, and hope you participate with us, asking questions. It's very nice to learn together, to talk about the divine justice with you all. Para os brasileiros, bom dia, boa tarde, boa noite para quem for prestar atenção, ouvir, participar com a gente. Muito obrigada por estarem junto conosco. Como todas as quintas-feiras, estamos aqui falando sobre Espiritismo, sobre a espiritualidade, e hoje será a justiça divina. Obrigada.
Bonjour, bonsoir. Heureux d'être à nouveau parmi vous ce soir pour cette petite émission hebdomadaire, et aujourd'hui pour parler de la justice divine. Ouais. Thème que nous n'avons pas encore abordé, donc allons-y. Hello everyone, really happy to be here again with you for this spiritual light, to share a little bit about the spiritual light that we got from all these predecessors. And today we will talk about divine justice.
Great. So in order to kick off our discussion here, I will play a short video, and then we can give a little bit of our introduction. Okay? So bear with me.
If we look to our past too, I think we can say, even if sometimes we're very negative about nowadays, but life's a lot better than it was 200 years ago, 300 years ago, 1,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago, where all the beings in this planet will be fundamentally happy. We don't know when that's going to happen. It's probably going to take a big chunk of time, but it will happen. Again, we go back to the idea of God being just and kind and always give us a chance to evolve and grow. So everything is growing and evolving. It's only a matter of time. So we are really reassured and happy and willing and eager to get to that point, and happy and willing and eager to get to that point. And what we will take is each one and all of us putting in our work. It won't just happen miraculously. We have to take the responsibility in our hands. But what a beautiful day will be when all of us, regardless of birth, creed, religion, sexual preference, whatever you want to call it, will be happy. We think we're going to get there.
I believe that diversity is the way. We do have the capacity to understand each other and to tolerate our differences.
In Spiritism, one of the things we have learned is that all of humanity is destined for happiness. All of us is one of the divine natural laws, which is the law of progress, which means that we must move forward. We do not believe in regression. We do not believe that we can go back and undo and unlearn what we have learned.
And that's perhaps one of the most touching pieces about divinity in general, when you think about it, is ultimately we're all condemned to be happy. It is just a matter of how soon will it happen, and that's up to us. Each one of us can do their best in getting there, so we can either speed that up or slow down the process, but we will get there individually and globally as well.
I think, yes, there is chaos, but I think there are more wonderful things going on, good projects, and towards peace, harmony.
The main thing is not to convert anyone. The main thing, the main objective is to make better human beings. If you belong to this religion or to that religion, it doesn't matter.
Well, a special thank you for our friends from Spiritist Academy with all these amazing videos they produced to us. So thank you very much. And in order to start our introduction here, I ask your permission to read something. Is a text from the book Faith. It's psychographed by Chico Xavier and dictated by the Spirit brother Joseph. And says, sometimes we question ourselves. Will it be worth to be good in the pathways of life? And in a flash, you would invent ingratitude, disappointment, slander. The one you extend your hand yesterday is the someone who defamed you today. The one you killed his hunger in the past is the same to scoff at your ideals now. The one you helped in the problematic of his experiences is the voice that rises to censor you publicly. The one you trusted blindly in the same one who is deceiving you set you up for a delicate situation. However, it continues obeying the voice of conscience. All who are willing to serve in the world will inevitably reap troubles. Hasn't it been like this with the benevolent ones of all time? Don't give up. Indeed, when you do good to others, you will be doing it to yourself. By the thorns, be sure to invest in your happiness. Justice belongs to God. Time will speak for you. Okay, my friends, so we understand that justice consists in each one respecting the right of the others. But if even I respect this, where is my boundaries? How I can explain I'm doing everything correctly, but I'm still suffering. The other is not doing anything right, and everything is flawless for them. And as much as I'm living, I am understanding things has changed. My concepts in the past was very strong to me. Nowadays, it's nothing. I acquire a new one. This proves that we have the moral progress develops a sense of justice for us. So, and the question is, our conscious, we are using our mental house, like a spirit called André Luiz said in the book, Dominions, I think Dominions of the Mediumship. We use our mental house. In this mental house, we acquire knowledge from our past in order to inspire our actions today. And we unite the experience we're living in this life in order to make the decisions. And this is the voice of our conscious, which make us to move forward. And based on this, I would like to start our discussion today asking to our friend Charles something very important regarding to the divine justice. And on the chapter 28, item 30 of the Gospel according to Spiritism, the Spirit said, when a reason for affliction strikes us, if we look for its cause, we will often find that it is the consequence of our prudence, lack of foresight, or a previous action. In this case, we must attribute it only to ourselves. If the cause of a misfortune is independent of any participation on our part, it is either a trial for this life or an expiation of a past existence. And in the latter case, the nature of expiation can enable us to understand the nature of the wrong. Based on this, my dear friend Charles, is reincarnation part of the divine justice?
Wow, that's a good one, Stevan. Thank you for the question. It will be a challenge to answer in a limited time. One could make a full conference 1 hour or more on this subject, but okay, let's try. So divine justice. So we did not talk so much about God in our past emissions of spiritual light. And God is the question number 1 of the Spirit's book is, what is God? So Kardec really put it at the first question, one of the most important starting points, which is the basis of all what comes after this. And the spirits, they answered, God is the supreme intelligence, first cause of all things. Quite short definition, but when you read it and read again and read again, it's really amazing how deep and how clear it is. And supreme intelligence, infinite in all his attributes, and first cause of all things. So where can we find the proof of the existence of God? I think it's question number 4 or so. But it's a law of causality. There is no effect without a cause, and this is a basic axiom of every science still today. You cannot have an effect without a cause. And when you apply this axiom to whatever, when you looked into the universe, to whatever is not the work of human being, then the reason is answering, okay, if it's not done by human, it must have another cause. And as per the first definition, first cause of all things is what is called God. So here we are. And then, we cannot understand the intrinsical nature of God. It's something that mankind has not yet the capacity to understand in full extent. But we can understand some attributes of God. So we judge the power of an intelligence by its works. And since no human being could create what nature produces around us, but let's just look to the phenomenon of life, or look to this astronomical solar systems, and or when you go to the smaller all these particles which we are using now, electrons and whatever, to make this video, and it's really amazing to see all this harmony which reigns in the nature. So clearly, all this has the cause, which is what is called God. And of course, the God's intelligence is something, I would say, of another dimension compared to the humankind. And amongst the attributes, Kardec also wrote in the question 13 of the Spirit's book that God is eternal, infinite, immutable, immaterial, is unique, all-powerful, and supremely just and good. So now we are touching the subject, supremely just and good. If God exists, it can only be supremely just and good. And this is, we can also make some reasoning to understand this. For instance, God is eternal. Why is God eternal? Because if God would have a beginning, something would have created God. So God would not be God. It would be what has created God, which is God. You got the point? So through this reasoning, you come to the conclusion that God is eternal in the sense no beginning and no end. And if we come now to the last one, God is, why is God supremely just and good? It's just, how to say, when we look to the divine laws revealed in the smallest thing, as I just told before, as well as in the largest things. It's when we see all this harmony in the law of nature, we cannot doubt that God is infinite in justice and goodness. So that's as a starting point. Now, reincarnation. Reincarnation, you asked me if it is a part of the divine justice. There are so many things. Myself, before I was learning Spiritism, I was asking myself, why are there people rich? Why are there some other people which are so poor, miserable? Why are there people, some which are so healthy, other ones which are, since they are born with a lot of health problems or other type of deficiencies? Why are some people living almost 100 years and some other dying only after a few days of life? How can we, starting from the principle that God can only be infinitely just, how can we understand all these apparent discrepancies we can see just looking around us? And the only way to conciliate all these things is through exactly the reincarnation. When you look, you have done something wrong. Okay, so what? Will you be condemned eternally to go to hell in the infinite fire and so on? Of course not. I mean, if you are a father and you have a child, and your child makes some mistake, you give him always a second chance. Try it again, and then you maybe you can. You see, you will not condemn it definitively. Okay, you failed, so now it's finished. You will not have a second chance. So even parents would not do that. So how could God do such things? And there is a lot of other reasoning we can do about the reincarnation. It's really you can see some people. If we would say we have only one life, if the spirit is created at the same time as the physical body, which is, according to some theories, the case. How can you explain that some people, are smart and some others have really a lot of difficulties to learn? Would God make some souls more intelligent than some others? It would also not be conciliable with this infinite justice of God, you see? And I mean, Kardec developed this a lot. There is, in the Spirits book, one question, which I think it's the longest of the books, the question 222, and where he really is showing all the arguments in favor of reincarnation, and explaining that this is the only way to conciliate all what we can see around us with this infinite goodness of God. And because Kardec himself, and I must admit myself as well, the first time I read the Spirits book, I told, okay, that the spirits exist, maybe, that the spirits can communicate with human, maybe as well, but that we have to reincarnate, personally, I was skeptical, you know. Once your hard drive is formatted through Catholic teaching, it's you have some difficulties to change your mind, and it was also my case. So Kardec had a lot of arguments. This question 222, clearly, where he asked all these questions and how can we understand all these discrepancies, and keeping this notion of God, which must be infinitely just. The arguments were very strong. In reality, it was a phenomenological approach who helped me also to understand. Maybe Nadja will talk a little bit about later in our talk today. When you have young children which are remembering from their past lives, and this Gabriel Delanne was really the pioneer of making this type of studies, which have been then considerably developed by a lot of others through regulations like Colonel de Rocha or some others. And even more recently, Jan Stevenson, who discarnated in 2007, he also makes some correlation with some birthmarks, depending on the wounding the person had when she died in the past life, and which is, by the way, continuing today with Jim Tucker. This is what's really, it was really the last argument. Okay, now I got conviction of the reality of reincarnation, in the same extent as I'm convinced that the Earth and the Moon are attracting themselves, as per the Newton law, you know. So it's something that we can really observe, see the effects, and then have no doubt about it anymore. Yeah, so I would now maybe just conclude also by talking a little bit about Kardec. He wrote, again in this question 222, we recognize the fact that the doctrine of plurality of existences is the only one that can explain what would be unexplainable without it, that it is eminently consoling and conforms to the strictest justice. For humankind, it is the life preserver that God, out of divine mercy, has thrown to them. And again, reincarnation is not from yesterday. Some religions like the Vedas or even Pythagoras or some very ancient philosophers were already clearly talking about reincarnation. Even Jesus made some very clear mentions to reincarnation in the way that the first Christians, like Origen, he was believing in reincarnation. The reincarnation has only been withdrawn from the beliefs of the Catholic religion in the 5th century, and it was by pressure of the emperor of Constantinople and his wife. And today, still, you see, Catholic persons do not believe in reincarnation. I was once surprised that we were giving lectures in a room in Lyon, city of Lyon in France, which was rented by Dominicans, monks. And one of the subjects of lecture I gave there was exactly about reincarnation. So at the end, when we have seen the Dominican monk, I asked him, hey, how is it that you allow us to talk in your room, the room we rent to you, about reincarnation? And his answer was very clear. He told, oh, you know, when you ask the people who are studying the religions, the theology and so on, you will see that more than 50% believe in reincarnation. Wow, I was surprised. How is it then that it gets not official, and why in the small churches in my village, the priest is telling, no, reincarnation does not exist? I said, no, okay, it needs a little bit time, but it will come. So clearly, I mean, reincarnation is the only way to conciliate this infinite divine justice with all these odds, anomalies that we can observe daily around us. And I really very grateful to Allan Kardec to having teach this to me and convinced myself, because it gives us a vision also for future life. Where do we go to? What is in our interest to do? This life is not unique, so we have to put the values in what is immortal and not what is temporary, that we will live here, as I told it almost in all the emissions. So that's it, very, very, very summarized, Stevan. If there are some questions, I will be happy to answer.
Yeah, thank you, Charles. Thank you very much. Well, and I think the next should be Nadja. Let's go to Lithuania right now. And there's more introduction is Nadja. In the book, Study and Live, psychographic game by Chico Xavier, written by, dictated by André Luiz and Emmanuel. They said the tests, let's take the principle, the tests we are having here. It's all accumulated lessons. We didn't have reached them in the past, but we need to undergo that. And this concur what we have in the chapter 5, item 26 of the Gospel according to Spiritism, in which the Spirit says the tests are designed to exercise intelligence as well patience and resignation. We already studied here some reincarnation, some proofs of reincarnation, but do you have in your science background anything who tell us about the divine justice?
Yeah, there are many examples of divine justice in medicine and science and in our everyday life. In 2015, there was an outbreak of Zika virus in Brazil, Zika virus infection in Brazil. So many pregnant women who were bitten by the mosquito with the virus have given birth to children with congenital defects and majority microcephaly. But then in 2018, a group of scientists in Florida have published a study of the effect of the virus in neuroblastoma cells, the Zika virus in neuroblastoma cells. And they found that these neuroblastoma cells, they were widely permissive to the Zika infection. So the rats, they presented a regression of the tumor. So the virus caused a lytic infection to neuroblastoma and glioblastoma cells in other studies. So what's neuroblastoma? Neuroblastoma is the second most common childhood tumor, brain tumor, and it's very aggressive. Even after chemo, radiotherapy, surgery, which are very debilitating, the survival rate is only 40%. So to be able to use this Zika virus that we saw, the lytic infection in rats, causing the regression of tumor. In children, we have to go through some steps, research steps. So last year, I found a study from a group of veterinarians from São Paulo, Brazil. Last year, 2020, March, they tested the infection of the Zika virus in dogs with advanced stage brain tumor. And the results were very promising because it showed that there was a reduction in the size of the tumor, of the brain tumor, and an improvement of the neurological clinical signs. So you ask, where is the divine justice in there? So the virus that causes microcephaly in some children, it will be the same that will cause the reduction of tumor, brain tumor, in other children. So we are asking then, okay, why are cancers in children, or even when they are still not born? I go back to the free will, the reincarnation and the free will, because we are all responsible for our actions. So we cause the disease in our perispirit. So when we smoke, when we drink alcohol in excess, when we eat food that is not good for our body, drug abuse, they cause impressions in our morphogenetic body or our perispirit. And so does our emotions as well. As we told in the last video last week, we were talking about the suffering. So we are responsible for our own sufferings. So we are causing this the disease in our own body that we can then carry in the next reincarnation. Like Charles said in other videos, we were talking about the birthmarks, the children that were remembered their previous incarnation. So not only birthmarks, but then also the cancer, for example. We all have cancer cells, so oncogenes, and we have our immune system. So when the oncogenes are not working properly, when they are wrongly working, and the immune system cannot fight, cannot destroy these oncogenes, then you can develop the cancer. And when we have our psychological trauma that can depress this immune system, or when we are with our emotions not well controlled, we can trigger these cancer cells to grow or to multiply. So our thoughts are energy, and they are very powerful, and they can change our cells, can change for good, for the cure, and they can change for disease, for the bad. And I must say that prayers are love that we send through our thoughts. So when someone has cancer, it's of course it's shocking, it's very scary, but it's a moment for reflection, to rethink what we have been doing, or review our attitudes, our relationship, forgiving people, forgiving situations that sometimes the person doesn't even know what happened, but we need to talk. And so it's a trial that we have to go through, or patients with cancer have go through to improve themselves spiritually, morally, and sometimes even physically. When they start eating better, looking after their health, there are many studies about how you can improve your immune system, eating better, doing sports, having a good relationship with others at work, at home, and we know that. So when there are patients in coma, for example, or vegetative states, they, after a trauma or stroke, and they come back, and they have experienced out-of-body event, for example. So they've been to the spiritual side, and they have contact with with their loved ones, with Jesus, sometimes Buddha, with an angel, and then they come back to say that life continues. So all the trials that we are going through this moment, in this incarnation, that we have caused in our previous life, or that we have planned before our incarnation. So, because sometimes this trial is not just for us. The cancer is not only for us, but it's for everybody who is around us. Huh? So the situation after disability, for example, someone who is bound on a wheelchair, and they have to park the car in a disabled parking area or bay. And there's another car parked there that is not for a disabled person. So those people who have this necessity, or walking on a pavement who is uneven. So when we go through the situation, we start being more empathetic, more compassionate, more understanding to others. So these trials are not only for the person who is having the disability, but also for the whole surroundings, for the family members, for the doctors also, because we as doctors, we have, each patient is different, and each disease sometimes behave differently in the same patient. Sometimes the disease is the cancer is cured, but after 20, 30 years, it comes back. So talking about studies, we talking about the people who are in coma for many years, the vegetative states also. They are breathing without machines, without mechanical ventilation. They can sleep, they can wake up, they open their eyes spontaneously, but they are unconscious from the medical perspective, standpoint. But we know that the consciousness is still there, the spirit is still there. And some will come back after 20 years, maybe after a few months, or they won't. They will die eventually, because we all die, but their spirits survive. So the studies with functional MRI showed that not all of those people who are in coma or in a vegetative state, they are unresponsible to stimuli, or they are unconscious, because they could react to commands, like imagine yourself playing tennis, for example, and these patients activated parts of their brain that showed that as they were really imagining playing tennis. So it was the same as the study group, or as the control group, which are the people who are not in coma. So this proves that the consciousness survived, and the person is still there, but it's not. It's just attached to the body, or locked in their body, but they are there. So some of them that come back, they say that, my mom was all the time by my side praying for me, or I could see the doctors doing this or saying that, or I've seen one of the, I don't know, family members coming to visit. So they can remember some things when they come back. So that's why we see divine justice everywhere, with each of us, all the time. And each of us has an opportunity to become better. And we have enough time to go through our own difficulties in life. In this incarnation, we don't come to Earth to suffer. We come here to repair the past. So our incarnation period is too short for how much can be done. And we as spiritists, we say that we know that nothing happens without a reason. So coma, accident, mental, physical disability, a child who is born with a tumor, or has died after a few days. So they are all trials for us, for our families, for the carers. And also it's a moment to reunite the family, to bring the family members together, to improve the empathy, and also to explain reincarnation. So sometimes this spirit needed to live just few hours to cure their perispirit, and then they can come back in another reincarnation few months after, into the same family, to the same mother, to the same father, but then he or she will live longer. So they had to come back for a few hours, for a few days, maybe to make their parents be less materialistic, less attached to material things, and more spiritual. But I think in the end, we all be cured. So the time of death belongs to God, and we will all be cured spiritually, physically, emotionally, morally, and love cure us all. So to summarize, I think we have to love ourselves, love the others, understand that life continues, and that's the true way for a new, better life, to love each other.
Thank you. Well, I love this case for Zika virus. I never thought this way. Thank you very much. Yeah. And now we go to UK. And let's see what they're going to say to Elsa. Okay, let me look at her. New laptop now. New face. See? Everything looks great for her. Okay. My dear, in the book, The Law and Justice, on the chapter 39, Moral Laws, Rodrigo Caligari says, when we start to live the justice of Jesus, the justice of Christianity, the principles of Christianity, we all progress, because we will live in a single norm called love your neighbor as yourself. So at the same time, we will take care of the others will take care of us, we take care of ourselves, we will respect boundaries, we will respect limitations, we will respect everyone's opinion. And the question based on this is, saying we have the divine justice happens everywhere. Once I acquire these Christianity principles and I start to apply this in my life, what we can ask God in our prayers?
Well, it's not a difficult question. But before I answer that, I'd like to remember that the Spiritist teachings teach us reasonable faith. And we know that God is divine justice, merciful. Question number 1 of the Spirit's book, Charles pointed very well. Remember very well. And imagine someone that lives 30 years incarnated and had done so many problems, murders, stealing things, bad person, etc. And the person died. If there is no justice, the person could stay in hell forever, live 30 years, incarnate, physical, and stay forever, eternity, 1,000 years, burning in hell. That is quite impossible. As using our reasonable faith, we know that it is impossible to have differences between incarnated people without a reason behind. What we do in our lives, we know that our agenda we prepare before this incarnation, many existences, one eternal life. So everything that happened with us, and Nadja pointed very well, starting with the Zika virus and the cancer and other things, that is, if you think reasonable, there are something behind that. It's not God punishing someone and giving so many good things for others without a reason. It's us that do this with us, preparing ourselves for the future. What we are doing today in this incarnation will reflect in next incarnation, because divine justice will be done. Okay. Now, what we should ask in our prayers? Of course, when we know the importance of life, the importance of to be charitable, to help others, to be merciful, when we learn, because we study Spiritism, it's not something that we go there or listen, and not study. We study, we reflect, we use our reason, and we acquire knowledge. So when we are praying, of course, that I'm not praying, oh God, give me the number of the lottery that I must want to win the lottery. No. We pray to be a better person, to have a patience, to calm me down sometimes, to understand someone that is really tricky, to organize our life in a better way, to give you good education for our children, to pray for our neighbors, to pray for this phase now that the entire humanity is suffering. So we join our prayers with other prayers, and we cover the prayer, the good energy, the world. So we are praying for the best for everything. It's a charity towards us, towards ourselves, to understand ourselves, because we are not a good person. We are not a good person. Now I'm good, beautiful with a mask, and behind the scenes, we are a nasty person. We can say bad things. I'm not saying that everyone is like that, but most of the people, they are jumping and saying bad things to others before really thinking about what they are doing. If you will, pray to be a better person. So to enlighten our person, we have a defense. We have good spirits inspiring us. Calm down, Elsa. See again what you are doing. Revise your task, what you are planning. So take care. Don't take this bus. Only inspiration, because we are in connection. Our prayer is our dialogue with the good spirits, benefactors, our Father, whatever, the ones that are near us, according our level of evolution, according our planet evolution. So prayer is the best thing that we can do. Cost nothing, zero cost. You can do anytime, everywhere, walking, having bus, going to your job, in the trains. You can pray anytime. Prayer makes you calm down with serenity and see inside yourself. When I'm praying, I can see inside myself. Sometimes so good things comes, a memory of my father that he was yesterday 99 years old. We can pray for everything and enlighten our soul. Pray for someone that you are not seeing, not communicating for 10 years, because 10 years behind, you make something that make you separate you of this person. Pray for this person. Pray for everything, and towards you comes 10 times better everything that you are doing, you're giving to others. So pray for yourself, your family, pray for your home, your beloved ones, or departed ones. You can pray anytime. So you can create this habit to pray, to talk with yourself, to talk with your higher self, to talk with your guardian angel, and you will have a nice companion help you to maintain serenity, even in turbulent times, as we are now with this coronavirus that is near to any family. Any family have someone with connection with someone that's ill. So we can pray for everyone, everywhere, anytime. And we can pray for ourselves to be a better person, to have a better future. So that we are contribute for our humanity, getting better as well. It's okay?
Wow, of course, yeah. Thank you. Well, divine justice. It's a long topic, and as Charlie said, we are trying to put a elephant inside a train, you know, because the topic is huge. But let me show another video to wrap up this session here, okay? Which you will reiterate what Elsa just said to us. But let's say there is a question here. One sec before we go from Ali Katz. If reincarnation is true, how can we possess free will in this life if in this life many suffer due to past life transgressions? This means we have been predestinated to experience what we experience. So, anyone?
Good question. Good question. Yeah. We have the free will in the past life. We have the free will in this life. So if we did something wrong in the past life according to our free will, of course, the law and cause and effect is here. So this we cannot avoid, of course. And it may be seen as a restriction in our liberty, but it's nothing else than the consequence of something that we did according to our free will. Okay. Now, we how to say the trial will duration will only be as long as we did not change in ourselves in a long-term basis our disposition not to start again, not to reinitiate again in the same mistake. Okay, so the free will we have it always, but I give you an example. If you jump out of the window, it's your free will which make you jump out of the window, but then you somehow lose your liberty, because what happens once you are out of the window? You fall down. Okay, and this is a natural law which applies to everyone. So we cannot escape from this law of cause and effects, but the cause again is done as per our free will. Sometimes it's also done because we don't know. Nadja talked about cancer. When I was young, a lot of people were smoking, and it was nice. We could see on the TV, wherever, and so on. But what happened? Some people got ill and got lung cancer, and so on. So this is, and they suffered from that, even so they did not know that it would have this effect when they were smoking. And this is also a way for humankind to learn the law of nature, and sometimes it needs to pass through some of such trials. But when you do a mistake without being conscient of it, you do not have the same degree of responsibility than when you do a mistake when you are fully conscious that you do the mistake. For instance, today, it's clearly written, I think, in any country, that smoking is not good for health. So the one who continues smoking, he will not have the same excuse later on when the effect will come, in this life or in the next life, by the way. And this is, how to say, today we can see it, but tomorrow we will have to take what we have, the seed we have thrown. If it's good seed, we will get back good things, and if it's bad seed, we will get bad things. And this is the law of nature, and this applies to anyone. And it's also, how to say, one of the elements of the divine justice, because there is no exception. Nobody is privileged compared to the others through the applicability of the law of nature, which has the same for everyone.
I think a very good example is children or teenagers in school. So if you don't study, if you don't do your homework, if you don't work harder to be a good student, you will repeat the year. So if you continue to repeat the same mistakes, you continue to suffer repeating the year, the same school year, or the same topic. So if you don't like to study chemistry and you keep repeating the same subject because you insist in not studying it because you don't like it, so then you are going to repeat it. So you are predestinated predestinated to fail because you're not going to study, you're not going to learn. So, and then you have to repeat and repeat and repeat until you learn. And then when you learn, you just go past that year and then you start learning other things. And so that's, I think, a very simple example, but it's very what happens to our life and our reincarnations.
Yeah, it's kind of, we need to understand that our free will, we do have free will, but our free will is limited with the knowledge we acquired. Because when we make a decision today, we make this decision based on what we have learned in this life, in previous life, and we decide something.
Like a child. If your child wants to cross the road, you take the hand of the child, not leave a child go and cross the road in the street, etc. But when the child is safe in your environment, you leave the child to do what she wants to do in the playground, that you are really confident that the child are protected. So our free will is according the level that we will really understand what we are doing.
Exactly.
It's a protection from God.
Oh, wow, better protections, yeah. Okay, do we have time? Let me check here. We have 2 minutes. Okay, we just finished with the video, and then we can say goodbye to our friends here. 1 second.
Pray is to ask, to be grateful, to express gratitude, and also to praise God.
In Spiritism, we don't prescribe a specific form of talking to God, and we just wish that folks engage in a dialogue with themselves and with this greater power. Whether we are kneeling down or standing up, whether we are singing or whispering or thinking or dancing or sitting or laying down, I don't think it matters. What matters is what kind of connection, what kind of relationship we have with the Creator. And I do believe that the Creator, God, whoever you want to call it, whatever you want to call it, it's always listening. We might not be, but God is.
When we say a prayer, it's as if we are logging in our connection, consciously speaking. That there will be a day in which we'll be so in sync that everything that we do and think, we feel, is already going to be in synchronicity with God, like Jesus. But till then, we log in the account. Sometimes we are logged out, but then we need to log in and connect, to receive the ideas. God already knows, the message is already there. We just need to connect. And prayer can be not to undermine the power of prayer, but it can be a way for us to assess the divine communication and bring it close to us.
It has been shown that prayer, meditation, scientists nowadays see the positive effects that it has on the health. We can only imagine what it does for the family together in maintaining the ties that maintain the family together. Oftentimes there will be crisis at home. There will be misunderstanding. There will be lack of patience and tolerance. Prayer brings back the feeling of harmony, of balance. Thus, it provides a healthier living ambience for the family.
Sometimes we might be praying without even realizing we're praying. We might be driving down the street and see somebody doing a great gesture of love towards something else, and we might be taken by that elation, that happiness, and just send some good positive energy. And I guess you could say that's prayer.
It's a beautiful thing when we see parents teaching their kids about prayer, about the need to talk to God. When the parents are gone, who will the child turn to?
The best kind of prayer is action. And it's also a very important piece of our belief is not only sitting down and talking to God, but also going there and taking responsibility for our lives. So if my life is not great, of course I should ask for help. But I should also try to get something going, not just wait for help to arrive.
When we work, we are praying. When we are producing, we are praying. When we are in action towards the benefit of other people, we are in prayer, in active prayer. But he can hear our innermost feelings and unspoken words of the heart.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. And just before we wrap up, we know we are 2 minutes over here. And we have a last minute question here from Leah. She's asking, when I was 5, I saw my mother kill my dad. I went to court to testify against her. I saw his light leave his eyes. For the next few years, I could talk to him when I was alone. She forced me to go to psychiatric where they said it was not real. I was making up. Now back to free will. Mother's doing killed him. He was 29. Where is he? She's dead now. Cancer, I think. I want to have a do-over as I could to have stopped it. I just want to talk again with him. Leah, I would say this is a very complex question. And would you mind to give your contact and we can reach you out and we can talk more about it with you because unfortunately we do need to finish here, but give us your contact and we will reach you and we can talk. And Elsa, you can engage here.
Yes, I want to say if she wants to leave a message using our website that is private, if she can go to buss.org.uk. You can put a banner quicker here. buss.org.uk. She can go there, leave a message. The message comes to me, and I will talk with my colleagues here.
No, it's missing something here. It's missing here.
buss.org.uk. Oh, she's right there, her message there, her email.
She gave her email. Okay, we're going to send you an email, Leah. Okay, and Elsa will contact you and we can discuss any further. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for your help. Can you type it? Elsa, you can type it. Type the email.
No. I'm copying her email.
Okay.
I think she wants the email from the bus or the BUSS.
She wants the email from the bus
website.
I can't type here, Stevan.
The bus.
buss.org.uk. This is the website. Or office@buss.org.uk.
That's what I'm more.
Office.
And not only for Leah, you can
everyone.
Anyone who wants to contact us can go to this email and ask a question.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, my friends. I wish
Thank you all.
all
Thank you for your participation.
I'll see you
Yes.
next week. Thank you very much.
Thank you
Thank
all.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See
Have
you.
a nice
Bye.
weekend.